The following announcement has been paid for by
the ENN Podcast.
He has a good energy, you guys.
Can you feel
Sport.
that excitement?
And also,
Wearing the merchandise, wearing the hats.
Is what I'm seeing for real?
Wild here live from Lincoln Financial. Yeah, come on.
I can't wait till this video's over so I can say its name anymore.
Music.
Wow.
Man, again, and I hate to do this again, but these are deep.
What the hell? What is that? Whoa! What the hell?
And more.
What's his next book gonna be called? I got you, I did not see that coming.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the ENN Podcast. I'm professional wrestler Chris Wilde. This is bar 4133, and it has been a long time since I've heard that music, since I've looked in front of this camera, and since you've seen me, since before the Eagles played in the Super Bowl. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Man, after the Super Bowl loss, this guy probably doesn't have a lot to say. He's probably at the lowest of the low, but look, that couldn't be further from the truth. It wasn't the Eagles Super Bowl that got me down. It got me so hard to put out more content. It's the fact that, and again, I'm going to do a Super Bowl recap, but before the Super Bowl, I lost a member of my family, a member of the ENN family. I lost my best friend, my little buddy, Mackie. He passed away right before the Super Bowl, and it hit me in ways I never thought that it could hit me. I was definitely depressed, and the depression has lingered and lingered on, to be honest with you. I've tried doing this for weeks, putting out a video, and hopefully this one sticks. I want to talk about the Eagles offseason and what Howie Roseman has ahead of him and what he's already done. Now let's just get into it right now, guys. TJ Edwards, Kazir White, Marcus Epps, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Javon Hargrave, they're all gone. All of them are gone. Isaac Seumalo, Zach Pascal, gone. Andre Dillard, gone. How are the Eagles going to rebound from losing so many pieces? Now let's talk about Shane Steichen, gone. Let's talk about Jonathan Gannon, gone. The offense and defensive play callers out for the Philadelphia Eagles. How in the hell are they going to get back? Well, let's start with them. That's a good place to start. Jonathan Gannon, if you watch my video, go back in the archives. You know how I feel about Jonathan Gannon. I think, look, the Eagles' defense was absolutely amazing last year, almost historic. 70-plus sacks, the defensive line absolutely ate all year. But what I think about Jonathan Gannon and his defense, and I've thought this since he became coach, is that they do well against quarterbacks that are below average or just average when it comes to a quarterback like a Pat Mahomes, or even at just an average, tiny bit above average quarterback like Dak Prescott. They absolutely eat. They always have. And if you got a coach that can make good adjustments at the half, Jonathan Gannon just does not go well with that. He never has. And we saw it in the Super Bowl. I think he was a big reason why that the Eagles lost that game. They bring in Sean Desai, a guy I'm very, very excited about. Took a Chicago defense with not that much talent a couple years ago. I put him up into the higher rankings of the NFL, was under Pete Carroll for a couple years in Seattle. I think he's a good fit here. As far as Shane Steichen goes, loved his offense. Eagles' offense was amazing last year. I think he was a big part in the development of Jalen Hurts. He goes to Indianapolis, but I'm not worried about that either because you got a guy like Brian Johnson that was literally under his arm for the entire year, putting in those offensive game plans, has known Jalen Hurts since he was 5 years old, and he just fits in well. And besides, this is Nick Sirianni's offense that they're all kind of moving underneath anyway. I think Brian Johnson's going to be a superstar, and we might end up losing him next year. Now, as far as the players go, let's be honest. I named a bunch of players. The biggest piece that they probably lost was Javon Hargrave. The dude was an absolute monster, an absolute beast last year. He goes to San Francisco for, $80 million. I mean, it was something crazy. There's no way the Eagles would be able to keep him. Love Javon Hargrave, and I'm not one of these guys. It's like, oh, he's not an Eagle anymore, so he sucks. But I am going to say one of the things that I had with Javon Hargrave last year was the fact that he disappeared in big games, and I think he really benefited under this amazing defensive line, as everybody did that was on that line. I do think he's a product of that. And he goes to a San Francisco team that is going to have an awesome defensive line too. So smart move by him and his agents, and he got that bag. Now, the other big loss, I think, which might not be as big a loss, is C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He kind of played games with the Eagle fans for a couple weeks, thought he was going to get more than he did. The Eagles rescinded the offer they gave him, and he ends up being a Detroit Lion for almost pennies. Look, I think this guy's an X factor. I think he has a moxie that really fit well with this team in this city. But now he's gone, and the Eagles bring in a guy like Terrell Edmunds. And again, it's March. I'm gonna say this throughout this whole video. It's March. Do I think Edmunds is going to be a starting safety for the Eagles? I don't know. I think he fills in the Marcus Epps role, not the C.J. Gardner-Johnson role. But look, his numbers last year were pretty good. Not a ball hawk by any means. He's a sure tackler, which the Eagles needed desperately last year. I think he fits in well here as well. Also, they bring in Justin Evans. This guy's been hurt forever. Don't even know if he's going to make the team. Nicholas Morrow at linebacker after losing both their linebackers. Again, a guy that I think is just a depth piece. It's only March. I think Howie is still going to make that group better. You got Nakobe Dean now stepping up. We've loved Nakobe Dean forever. He gets to show why I believe he was highly underrated coming into the draft. Being drafted in the third round, I think, is a steal for the Eagles. Being able to keep a guy like James Bradbury. I did not think that the Eagles were going to be able to keep James Bradbury. They do. They re-signed Darius Slay after a scare because we all thought Slay was going to be released or traded. You bring back the best cornerback duo in the league. Filled in, again, Terrell Edmunds at safety. Reed Blankenship comes back. I think, again, you don't need a top 2 defense to win the Super Bowl. We saw it with the Chiefs last year, what kind of defense they had last year, and they still won the Super Bowl. They had a couple guys like Frank Clark and Chris Jones, and everybody else was kind of a role player. I think the Eagles have way more. I think the Eagles right now have a better defense than Kansas City has, with guys like Josh Sweat and that defensive line. Bringing back Fletcher Cox, again, an older player, but he is an above average, even at his age, defensive tackle. In my opinion, Milton Williams, a lot of promise. Hassan Reddick might be one of the best defensive players in the league. No, not might be. He is. He might be the best defensive player in the league. And yes, I am wearing that green hat and probably looking under green colored glasses, but it is what it is. On the offensive side of the football, this is why I think the Eagles are going to be so good for years to come. Still keep guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I think the best wide receiver duo in the league. You still got Dallas Goedert, who hasn't really shown his full potential yet. And running back, you bring in Rashad Penny, again, always hurt. Who knows what he's going to do? I don't think they're done yet there. I think Kenny Gainwell's ceiling is super high. You're going to see more of him. They're going to add to that wide receiver group, losing a guy like Zach Pascal. Again, I don't think that's such a big deal there. Offensive line, bring back Jason Kelce. How huge is that? Not only to the team, but to the city. He's the best center in the league still, operating at a high level. You lose Sayamalu, but you probably put in Juergens there, and I think Juergens is an absolute beast. Dillard was a great backup, but he was just a backup. You can find somebody to fill in his shoes. I just think this offense, and this is what it is in the NFL, guys, it's about offense. And the Eagles have the most important piece to any football team. A guy that teams still right now are trying to find this guy for their team. If you don't have him, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. And that is a guy the caliber of Jalen Hurts. So we're talking Pat Mahomes and Pat Mahomes B, right? Because that's how I feel about Jalen Hurts. He showed in the Super Bowl how he played. This guy is special. He's got that X factor, that MVP type quality. That guy like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, these winners, these guys that just are different, that command differently once they're in that huddle. And the Eagles have them, and Howie Roseman has them. And look, guys, it's only March. It's only March. Last year in March, I was not happy with the Eagles offseason at all. The draft came, and it completely turned around. And even after that, in camp, getting a guy like Bradbury and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the Eagles are not done by far. Howie has already exceeded my expectations, and I'm ready to go for this 2023 Philadelphia Eagles season. Thanks, guys, for still subscribing to me. If you're still a subscriber, if this is your first time, please hit that subscribe button. More content coming as I'm getting over this mental depression that has kind of taken me, and mental health is a big thing now, guys. I deal with it. I'm not afraid to say I deal with anxiety and depression. It's just kind of kept me out of the game for a couple months. But I am back. Hopefully you guys see this video because, again, I've been doing this for weeks and just can't seem to get one out. With that being said, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Go Birds, and I'll see you later.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! E-A-G-L-E-S,
nation to stand.